Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast with Trey and Lee. We're glad you've joined us today.
Hey guys, it's a little rainy Wednesday afternoon here in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, January seems like it has lasted for about 2 months.
It's been very January-ish.
It has. I don't know what it is. I guess it's a cold weather or something, but seems like everybody in the U.S. has had snow where you're not supposed to have snow. It's been cold, and we're just ready for some warm weather, and some spring would be nice. Hopefully y'all are too.
Yeah, it has been unusual, and you were showing us pictures today from memories 2 and 3 years ago where we were on a cruise in Mexico, one of our seminars at sea, which was fun times.
I'm trying to figure out why we're not on a cruise now. Next year,
Right.
Next January, we need to do another January one, just because I get tired of the cold.
Yes.
So, yeah, that is right. If you're joining us and you were with our group in Eufaula, Alabama, we enjoyed being there just last week. And it was nice to meet everybody there. The Wichita, Kansas folks, we've done a workshop there. We're headed to Burleson, Texas in a couple of weeks, and we're excited about that. And so we've got several workshops coming up. If you're not sure where we're going to be, check out our webpage, treyandlee.com, and you can find out our upcoming workshops.
That's right.
Most all of them are free.
Yes, and most all of them have childcare provided, but that's something you need to check when you get on the registration side.
That is right. We try really hard to encourage our churches that host us to provide the seminar for free. We just think that's a blessing to couples so that you don't have to pay anything.
Yes.
So we want to talk a little bit today about some things that we have not done well in our marriage, some mistakes that we have made, and just some things maybe you can learn from and just kind of go, well, hey, they're saying they didn't do that well or handle that well. We need to be paying attention and don't do the same thing.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd also share a few things that we feel like we did right. And so some of the things on the right side that we did well are things that we didn't purposely set out to do. We just kind of look back now and go, wow, we're glad we did that. It really blessed us. Kind of same with some of the negative things on our list that we kind of look back at now and kind of go, hey, we probably should have handled that better. So hindsight's 20/20. And when you can kind of see and look back, you learn what you did well and not did well, and we just thought we'd be a little open and vulnerable and tell you some things that we feel like we should have done better in our marriage over the past 36 years, and some things that we feel like we did really well. And so let's kick off. I think it would be good if we started with the things that maybe we did wrong or didn't do well on in our marriage that we have adjusted. I'd like to think we've adjusted and improved on those areas. Maybe some things that we just didn't understand earlier in our marriage.
Okay. So to kick us off, the first thing that we really didn't do well on was that we didn't take our spiritual intimacy seriously.
It's true.
We have a strong faith in God. We like to think we center our marriage around God, but and we went to church together. We worshiped together. We talked about spiritual things, but we didn't. We weren't intentional about praying together. Mm-hmm. I think that's the main thing that we didn't see a need in. We didn't see the value of that until we started doing it, until somebody encouraged us to do it. And we realized, hey, we haven't ever done that. We've prayed for each other. We've prayed for our marriage, but we never really prayed together. So, yeah.
That's true. We were kind of in a position to where we didn't know what we were missing out on. We understood, and I think everybody understands things like sexual intimacy. We understand recreational intimacy, where we hang out together and build memories together. We understand intellectual, where we're communicating, but spiritual intimacy is one of those things that we don't talk a lot about. And once we kind of figured out the prayer thing, we kind of said, where has this been all our marriage? Because it kind of connected us on a new, different level. and it was really, really good. And we try to pray together every day. Sometimes we make it, sometimes we don't, just depending on what's going on. But we sometimes include friends. If we have folks at the house, we say, hey, can we pray for you before we leave? Or sometimes our granddaughter, we get her to join in. Let's pray for somebody when she's had our grandson or her brother sick. But praying together, just the two of us, was kind of a new thing and a little bit intimidating, but it's much more comfortable now. And now we look back and go, we wish we'd have started that earlier in our marriage, and it really, really blessed us.
Yeah. And you don't have to, have long sit down prayer sessions. That's not really, that's great if you do, but that's not really what we're talking about. It can be very simple. It can be as simple as, just before you walk out the door in the morning, God, please be with us while we're away from each other. It can be as simple as before you go to bed at night, Lord, thank you for our marriage. Please bless us. Simple things. Mm-hmm. Now, it is great to include, things that are on your heart. If there's something, with your children, with if you've got a goal you're working toward, all those kinds of things, those are great to pray about. But just keep in mind, this can be a very simple daily thing that you do together. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out unless you want it to be.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good. If you want to, you can make a list of things you're praying about. And sometimes you can just go through that list. Sometimes we take turns praying. Sometimes I'll pray and then I'll let Lee pray, or vice versa. Or sometimes I'll pray one night and Lee will pray one night. But it's just really, really good when you connect in prayer. And we wish we would have done that earlier in our marriage. But we did not do that well. But we're doing much better now.
We're doing better.
So hopefully that's something that you could say, I would like to try that. Maybe don't knock it till you try it.
Yes. So the next thing is, we also underestimated the value of sexual intimacy.
We did. And I think we just, part of our issue on this thing that we didn't do well was we just didn't understand it.
Right. We weren't very educated on all of the benefits. What's the word I'm looking for there?
The reasons that God created sex.
Yes.
Which was more than, sex is for pleasure, sex is for procreation, but it's so much more than just those two things. It is for knowledge of one another. It is for comfort of one another. It is for connection and reconnecting over and over and over. And there's a reason why God added this to marriage and said, be sexually intimate and gave it a blessing in marriage, is because it just connects a husband and wife over and over and over to remind them we are one, we are not two. And it wasn't that we didn't take it serious, we just didn't understand it. And we just thought, hey, it's for procreation, it's for pleasure. If we get around to it, great. If we don't, great. And once we began to understand why God actually created marriage, and the reason, why God actually created sex, and the reason behind that, it was kind of eye-opening. Mm-hmm. And we've begun to realize this isn't just an optional thing in our marriage. It is a necessary thing in our marriage because it makes our marriage better. And if you're physically able to do that, it will bless your marriage if you're able to do that with your spouse, to be sexually intimate, because it will connect you and it releases those endorphins and that oxytocin and all the other things. And if you want more info on this, of course, we talk about this in detail in our workshops, but if you want more info on this, we have a couple of old podcast episodes we've done in the past on why God created sex and how God created sex for marriage. And reach out to us, we'll send you the link to it. But this is something that we highly undervalued and probably should have, looking back now, early in our marriage, should have been a little more intentional at making this a priority in our marriage.
Yes. It's important that both parties initiate, and it's important that you talk about frequency and agree on all of that. But don't just push it to the back burner and think, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Very good. Third thing that we didn't do very well was early in marriage, we both tried to fix one another. And I think that's a good way to put it, but it was just, I don't think we thought there was something wrong with the other. We just thought, hey, if you could be more like me, you would see that you like it a whole lot better. And really, God didn't create you like me, and God didn't create me like you. He created us to be who we are. Now, we have blended and we have meshed in a lot of ways over 36 years of marriage. And so those are all very healthy things that you do. You come together and kind of meet in the middle on a lot of stuff, but we're still two very different people. And now we see that not as a negative thing, but as a very positive thing, because the things that I do well are kind of your weaknesses, and the things that you do well are the things that are my weaknesses. And when you blend that together, we make a pretty solid couple.
Yeah. It's funny that the opposites attract. We know that. We're very opposite. Not every couple is, but a lot of couples are. And you're attracted to things that are opposite from you. And then once you get married, you're like, oh, those same things are driving me crazy now.
Those are annoyances.
So it's just kind of crazy how that works. But
it was so cute how organized you were when we got married. And then we got married and it was like, do we have to have everything in its place?
Yes.
I hear you.
But no, at the same time, I can overlook a few little things.
We can meet in the middle. Those are healthy things.
Meet in the middle.
I get it.
But yeah, don't try to change each other. Maybe that's the word there instead of fix. Don't try to change your spouse. Now, if there were things about me and about my personality that you wanted to fix or change, that I probably needed to. And,
right.
I needed
and
to.
vice versa.
I needed to not be so critical or whatever it was, and you needed to try to, shut cabinet doors and pick things up that you left out. So, yes, work on the negatives, but don't just absolutely try to change your spouse to be somebody that they're not.
Yeah. And it will really help if you don't focus on all the differences. If you don't focus on the things that your spouse does different all the time, and maybe focus on what they do well. You tend to notice the things that your spouse does negative that you don't like. And when you start focusing on the things you do like, it really makes you appreciate your spouse more.
Well put. So we have done a few things right in our marriage along the way. So we don't want to just be, give you all the downers. But we do hope that some of those things that we mentioned, if you can relate, that you'll go, yeah, we need to try that. We need to step that up. We need to stop doing that, whatever it is.
And maybe some of these good ones you can go,
the same.
Hey, that's really a good idea.
That's a great idea. We need to try that as well. So 3 things that we've done right in our marriage. The first one is that we read marriage books together. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't usually read out loud to each other. Some people do that. Some people enjoy that. We've heard couples say, when we're driving down the road, I'll read. It's really nice now. There's audiobooks that you can just listen to together. So that's a great way to do that. But we, for the most part, would just pick up a book and read it. If there was something that I thought was important or that I related to, I would underline that. And then when you read the chapter, you could see what I underlined that was important. And you would do the same. You would, underline things that were important to you, that stuck out to you.
That's right.
That I could see the next time I picked up the book, and we could talk about those things, that we had highlighted or underlined. So.
And we've read a lot of marriage books.
We've read a lot.
And we've liked a lot. There's some that we weren't big fans of. You just read the books, and it's kind of like eating fish. You find the meat in there that works for you and spit the bones out. But it really, really blessed us. And looking back, being able to have conversation about stuff, being able to read books together on marriage. I personally think every couple should read one a year together, if not more, where you just read a book together and where y'all have something to talk about. Very, very healthy thing to do. And if you're in a relationship where a long distance relationship where maybe you're deployed, maybe your husband's on the road or wife's on the road and you're not together, this is a great way to connect and reconnect, is to get 2 books. and just know, hey, today we're reading chapter 1, and then later that day talk about it. Text or make a phone call or whatever and say, how'd you like chapter 1? Just a way to connect. But we were very appreciative to a guy named Joe Beam in a workshop that encouraged us to do that, and we have done that, and it has really blessed our marriage, reading marriage books together. And so we were glad that we did that.
Yeah. And the benefit, one of the huge benefits of reading a marriage book, or even you could probably lump listening to a marriage podcast in with this.
Yeah, if we'd had those in our
we
younger
didn't
days.
have those back then. But just when you're putting that information in front of you on a regular basis, it just reminds you that what you need to do and what you need to keep in the forefront. Just so that you stay on your toes, because it's easy to just put marriage on the back burner. And so when you're reading about things and listening to things, you're like, yep, I've got to step it up, and I've got to keep doing what I know I need to be doing in my marriage.
That's it. It just keeps it in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing that we did well was we had daily conversation. And we've talked about this before. It was not planned. The average couple right now spends 4 minutes a day is all they get in conversation, face-to-face communication and connecting every day. And that's not enough. You can't do marriage on 4 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. And early in our marriage, we started having afternoon coffee together. I would pick up one of our kids and drop him off at the house, and Lee would make coffee, and I'd just sit down for 15, 20 minutes, and we'd drink a cup of coffee and just talk about what was going on our schedules, what was going on in life. Is there anything you need from me? And it just became a regular thing to where we didn't want to miss it. And we still do it today. Every chance we can, we have our coffee time together where that is just something that's very important to us, to have that 15, 20, 30 minutes that we can just sit down. Sometimes we're just quiet. We're just present together. But it's your opportunity to talk, ask questions, check in on one another. And it's just so healthy that you do this. And you really need to find some time to do this. It doesn't have to be 3:30 in the afternoon. It can be in the morning. It can be in the evening. But you got to be intentional, because it won't happen without being intentional.
Yes. Yeah. So just figure out a good time that works for you, and try to just get into a routine of having time for conversation, and, just almost like a daily check-in. Like, one of the things we do is, what does your day look like tomorrow? And we talk about what's coming up, like the next day, and even throughout the week, just so we kind of know what's going to be going on in each other's world, and just, communicate, talk, and make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah, that is true. Last one. Sorry, I covered most of the other ones, so you can talk about this one.
We attended marriage events. We did very well at this, I think.
I don't know what appealed to them. Maybe it was because we were young and we didn't understand one another, and they just gave us...
Well, and it was always a little bit of a time to just get out of town and have a little bit of some getaway time, even though it was attending, a conference. But we are in full-time ministry, and I think that part of the appeal was that we'll learn something that we can teach. Mm-hmm. We can come back and we can help other couples. We can teach this in a class or in a Bible study group, or, to a mom's group, whatever it might have been. We just were always looking for good information that we could share with other people. And it blessed us in the process. Probably blessed us more than anything else.
Even leading marriage stuff, where we would have a marriage Bible study in our home, or a Sunday afternoon just marriage class, blessed us. So anytime we had a chance, we were very passionate about marriage, even in the beginning. But anytime we had a chance to go to a marriage retreat, a marriage seminar, a workshop, if somebody was offering a one-day marriage event, we were signing up and saying, let's go. And so that was very, very good for us.
Yeah.
Very good for us. So these are just some things that we feel like we didn't do well, and some things that we did do well. And we hope they kind of bless you. Hope you can learn from some of our mistakes, and maybe learn from some of the things that maybe we've given you an idea of something to try.
Sounds good.
Wow, are we done that quick?
I think we're done.
All right. Well, y'all have a great week, and we will see y'all in a week or so.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.